Hi, folks. This is Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D. Welcome to the program. Today, I wanted to talk about ways of attracting attention to yourself, and not for egotistical reasons, not to be a show-off or to make people laugh at you. That's probably not a very good idea. But how to make yourself look like somebody that people would be interested in talking with. And there's nothing wrong with that. Give you an example. This is not about me, but about somebody else. But I think it illustrates my point. Before I lived here, I lived in a town called Olathe, Kansas, which is a suburb of Kansas City, Missouri. People would say, well, isn't it a suburb of Kansas City, Kansas? No. Kansas City, Kansas is way up to the north. So I was much closer to Kansas City, Missouri than I was to Kansas City, Kansas, only about 10 minutes away. In any event, I was in this thrift shop, really nice thrift shop, better than any thrift shop I've been to anywhere. They had everything imaginable, really, really nice. And they carefully inspected everything, including the electronic appliances, to make sure they worked before they sold them. That is something I found out when I went into Goodwill, a Goodwill store here in Deep South Texas, that they don't do. You buy something off the shelf, and you have no idea if it will work. There's no way to test it, so you're basically stuck with it. So that's not a very good way to do business, even for a charity, maybe especially for a charity. If they're trying to raise money to help people, why in the world would you sell things that might be defective? But this particular thrift shop in Olathe, Kansas was very, very nice. And I used to go there all the time. Sometimes I would just go there to look around and meet people and chat with people arbitrarily. One time went in there and I saw this young lady. I don't know how old. I'm not very good at guessing ages. If I had to guess, though, I would say maybe 25 or so. And she looked like you would think that an Amish person would look. I'm sure almost all of you know how Amish women look, with that kind of veil on top of their heads, the kind of clothing that Amish people wear. When I was a kid, we used to go to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is kind of known as the national headquarters of the Amish people. And Amish people run stores. You see them all over the place. They ride buggies. Some of them ride cars. It depends on the particular Amish sect. And she looked like that, pretty much like that. I assume she drove there. I didn't see a horse and buggy in the parking lot. And apparently I surprised her. I guess nobody else had ever walked up to her before. And I can understand that. You see somebody who looks like that, you think, well, I would like to talk to this person, but would this person be offended? Does this person even speak English? Would the person understand what I'm saying? So I could understand why a person might be hesitant to walk up to someone who looked like an Amish woman, but I am not. I will talk with anyone. So I walked up to her and I smiled and I said, excuse me, are you Amish, Mennonite, or Brethren? And she cracked up laughing. Apparently no one had ever asked her that question before. And so, you know, I we proceeded to have a conversation, and she kind of changed her answer twice. Initially, she said that she was Amish. Then she said, well, I'm really kind of Mennonite more than Amish. So I don't really know. My guess is that she's Amish. The Amish are a branch of the Mennonites. In other words, she was not Brethren. I have had Brethren students in my classes, and they, to me, look the same in their clothing as this Amish woman did. Same kind of veil on top of their heads, same kind of garments, everything else, everything is pretty much the same in appearance to me. But regardless, she, after laughing, she was very friendly, very kind, and I think she was pleased that I had asked her. You know, I think most people would be. You know, you approach somebody in a friendly way, and you talk with them in a friendly way, and person's going to be friendly. And she was very friendly, and very polite toward me, and we had a really nice, if short, conversation. Now, things like that have happened to me very rarely. I almost always wear clothing which identifies me as being a far leftist, whether it's anti-fa clothing, whether it's just basic commie clothing. The hat that I'm wearing now, I have actually never worn outside. Maybe I should. Lately, I've been wearing a lot of caps with photographs of Chairman Mao on them. But whatever, I try to dress like a commie, hoping that somebody will walk up to me. That's only happened twice. Once was today, but I'll go through the first incident before talking about the one that happened just about maybe an hour ago. I was walking up the 3 flights of stairs to my apartment in Olathe, Kansas, which is a suburb of Kansas City, Missouri, not Kansas City, Kansas, which is further up to the north. And this guy came up to me. I assume his wife or girlfriend was with him. And he said, why are you wearing that Russian T-shirt? Well, it wasn't Russian, it was kind of Soviet, but he said, why are you wearing that Russian T-shirt? And I said, well, I'm a communist. And I have never seen anybody with as surprised an expression as this person displayed. He looked totally shocked. Many people on the far right, not all, I've known some that don't have this kind of reaction, but many do, have this kind of view, I think, that we commies are hiding in the woodwork, that we're secret. We don't want anybody to know that we're communists. So we hide it. We're afraid of losing our jobs, maybe, or we're afraid of anybody finding out. Maybe we'll lose wherever we're living or lose our friends or whatever. There are a lot of people on the far right who genuinely believe in those kinds of things. And there are a lot of far right talk show hosts, for example, right here on YouTube, who I've heard say just that, that you may know somebody who's a communist, but that communist hasn't told you. Well, I know a lot of communists, since I am one. I don't know any communists who are afraid of revealing that they are communists. It's like talking about a person who belongs to a certain religion. Maybe your religion, if you have one. If somebody walked up to you and asked you what your religion was, would you be afraid to tell them? Many people who are Christian, especially Roman Catholic, wear crucifixes around their neck, obviously indicating that they are Roman Catholic. They're not afraid of anybody knowing that they are Roman Catholic. So as a communist, as anti-fan, as a Maoist-Third Worldist, I want people to know that. I want to publicize who I am to other people, and not for the sake of ego gratification. I don't care about that. Not for the sake of showing off. Why would I want to show off? There's nothing that I have to show off about. I'm content in who I am. I'm self-confident. I don't have any desire to show off to anyone, but I want to spread Maoism-Third Worldism to other people because I think it's good. And I think that the more Maoist-Third Worldists there are in the United States, here in Deep South Texas, the better it is. Just like I am making this podcast right now, maybe more people can make podcasts, or maybe they can use their own talents, whatever they happen to be, and publicize Maoism-Third Worldism that way, whatever. So I certainly have no apprehension about spreading the word that I am a Maoist-Third Worldist. In fact, exactly the opposite of that. But a lot of people on the far right don't know that, or don't believe it, or they've heard the opposite, and they just accept what Alex Jones or whoever they're listening to happens to be saying at a particular time. Okay, so that was one time that guy with his wife was like just totally flummoxed by the fact that I would admit, as if I was revealing some deep dark secret, that I would admit to being a communist. And he literally didn't seem to understand it. Now his wife or girlfriend was with him, and she seemed amused by the whole thing. What that meant, I don't know. My impression was that she was not as devoted a conspiracy theorist as he was, or perhaps not a conspiracy theorist at all. And she has had to put up with her husband or her wife or her boyfriend's conspiracy theories all the time. And now finally, she sees that this guy has met me, and that I have basically blown up all of his conspiracy theories in his face. Not intentionally. I mean, I certainly was not going out trying to shock him or ruin his own view of himself. But that may have been what happened. I may have put him into a kind of state of existential anxiety. Who knows? The second time was today. I was wearing a cap with a photograph of Mao Zedong, Chairman Mao, on it. And I was wearing this T-shirt, which has a photograph of Chairman Mao on it as well. And a very nice young woman came up to me. She told me that she will be celebrating her 25th birthday tomorrow, and I wished her a happy birthday. It was at a pizzeria that I go to on a regular basis. And she said, you know, I noticed that you're wearing a different cap this time. She said, usually I see you wearing, well, she pronounced it Antifa, but Antifa. Usually I see you wearing the Antifa, as she pronounced it, cap. And I said, well, I have like 40 or 50 caps, and I kind of alternate them based on my mood, or just whichever one I happen to pick off the shelf. And I said, yeah, this is the one I just picked up off the shelf today. It's a newer one. And so I decided that I would go ahead and wear it. And so we got into a conversation about it. And she, at first she said, well, who is that guy? Isn't that the guy who runs North Korea? And I said, no, that's Kim Jong-un. I said, this is Mao Zedong, also known as Chairman Mao. he used to run mainland China, and I said that I wear this, this cap and this T-shirt, both of Chairman Mao, as a way of publicizing the fact that I am a Maoist-Third Worldist. And I explained to her what Maoism-Third Worldism is. I don't need to go through it again for you. If you want to know, go back and look at some of my previous videos and you can find out. Regardless, she was very intrigued by that. And she asked me how to spell Mao. And I said, well, it's spelled M-A-O. She said, really, all you need to do is to go to Google or Bing and type in M-A-O. Or if you want to be more precise, type in Chairman Mao in scare quotes, and you'll see a lot of things about him, and you can read all about him and what he did and his career. And I said, but my own particular approach to Maoism is what I call heterodox, meaning it's unconventional, which is what heterodox means. Literally, it means other doctrine. Hetero is other, and doxy is doctrine, so it's other doctrine. It does not mean unorthodox. I'm not unorthodox, I'm heterodox. And so as a heterodox Maoist, I told her that the kind of Maoism I subscribe to is not precisely the same as most types of Maoism. It's a very unique form, and we put our attention on the third world. And that's enough said on that. I'm sure most of you know what the rest of the story is on that. And she was very interested. And she told me that when she gets home, she plans to look up Chairman Mao and find out what it is. And I suggested that she also do a search on Maoism-Third Worldism, so she can find out about that as well. Then she asked me, what is the third world? So I explained to her, I said, well, we are right here, just 3 miles north of the third world in Mexico. And I told her where the third world was, that the world's population is mostly filled with third world people, that we in the first world, which United States, Canada, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, most of Europe, that's also first world. We are the privileged minority in the world. We have things that most people who live in the third world can only dream about having. And so that's where the conversation ended. Now, what disappoints me, I guess, I'll conclude on this, is that more people have not asked me what my clothing means, why I'm wearing the clothing I am. Maybe like this Amish woman, maybe people are intimidated by her. Maybe people are intimidated by me, or some people. Although I always try to smile, and I'm always it's not affected. I actually do smile a lot, and I'm a nice guy, and I think I behave very nicely and politely to people. That's just the way I am. I've always been like that, and so I always try to be nice to people. So I kind of wonder sometimes why more people don't ask me about my clothing. I wish they did. Now, if some of you have any ideas about that, or perhaps even suggestions on how I might go about changing that and getting more people interested in what I'm trying to do, please leave that suggestion. But again, if you can take anything from what I'm saying, it's that don't be afraid of drawing attention to yourself, as long as you realize that you're not drawing attention to yourself for selfish reasons, that you're drawing attention to yourself so that people will find out that you are a Maoist third worldist, and will hopefully ask you questions, and you can respond to them and maybe get into a dialogue, and perhaps we may have some additional Maoist third worldists in the world today, because right now, sadly, there are not that many of us. This has been Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D. Have a pleasant day and an even better day tomorrow.